Welcome back. I'm Karen Field Bullock, and this is lesson number 12 in my course, A Spiritual Path to True Love. This lesson is about growing more attractive. In the last lesson, I made the simple observation that in general, people are more attractive when they feel the pride and fulfillment of having grown in some meaningful way. I didn't mean more attractive compared to other people. I meant we look our best and achieve more of our potential attractiveness when we're feeling justifiably proud and good about ourselves compared to when we're feeling neutral or bad about ourselves. Since emotions and attitudes can be contagious, most people enjoy being around those who exude a positive outlook, confidence, and a certain enthusiasm for things that interest them. In other words, people who seem happy. Being happy makes you more attractive than when you're unhappy, but only when it's genuine. Think of some of your favorite movie stars whose on-screen charisma may make them seem confident and happy. And then think about how surprising it may be to learn about their personal troubles as individuals. By trying to act happy, you will attract people to your act, not to you. But by pursuing happiness, you can become genuinely happy and more attractive. That's the spiritual approach based on truthfulness and other spiritual virtues. Of course, you don't have to be a happy person to look for love. Yet, if you want a happy relationship, it's a mistake to look for a lover precisely because you want them to make you happy when you're not. That's just being dependent. On the other hand, if love comes along at a time when you're unhappy, but without you looking for love, the universe has brought it to you because you've earned the right to experience that new happiness, at least temporarily. As the novelty of your relationship wears off, though, and as mistakes and misunderstandings pop up, knowing how to cultivate your own happiness can help you both. If you can bolster your own moods, then you're not depending on your partner to constantly have to prop you up. Also, when you feel happy, you can bring something to the table. You can contribute positive thoughts and feelings to the relationship that your partner will likely appreciate. There's a virtuous cycle here. Making yourself happy is part of loving yourself. And when you love yourself, you'll start to feel loved. When you feel loved, you'll look more confident and attractive. And when you look confident and attractive, that's something to be happy about. Being attractive is important whether you're dating or are in a love relationship. And some of the online dating coaches I've noticed have a lot to offer. I've been reading messages by Rori Raye, a dating and relationship coach for women. She sends out emails and sells ebooks specific to women about finding love through cultivating your own happiness and putting your own happiness first. In fact, author and radio television personality Steve Harvey advises hetero women to see themselves as the prize and not the pursuer when dating. Another way of telling women to love yourself first by focusing on your own happiness and your own value. For men, there are several online coaches giving tips on how to understand women, how to date women, and more. I've noticed that there's a male sexuality coach on YouTube that I'd recommend. His name is Destin Gerek. This coach specializes in helping men transform themselves into great lovers, a goal that can make both these men and their partners happier. Another dating coach I like is Ken Page. Ken is a gay man who advises couples of all types on how to be your authentic self while dating. His theme is deeper dating, and he is the author of a book by the same name. I think his approach is golden because being authentic is a sign of loving yourself, instead of feeling you have to hide your real self in dating in order to be lovable. If you want long-term happiness with a partner, being authentic is essential. It's a critical point of growth. These are just a few of the many online dating coaches and relationship experts, from basic to sophisticated, who share valuable perspectives for different audiences. Advances have recently been made in the field of love relationships, so I would encourage you to check out these and other relationship thought leaders, whether online or in books or articles. If you're not especially happy in general, then making yourself happier is a critical point of growth for you in the pursuit of true love. Back in the 1700s, the Irish statesman and philosopher Edmund Burke wrote that one of the biggest obstacles to happiness in life is boredom, and that one way to cultivate happiness apart from personal relationships is by developing impersonal interests. More interests, less boredom. A few years ago, I turned this advice into a real shift in my own happiness. I used to feel bored and exhausted by my weekly grocery shopping trips. Then I realized I could turn shopping trips into social events by going to smaller stores where people tend to be more friendly. Now I actually look forward to my weekly grocery shopping because I've developed an interest in chatting with the people who work at these shops. You can shift to a more positive approach to your life in many ways, some of which are just being kinder to yourself and resolving to stop putting yourself down if that's a problem. Definitely make plans to get away from people in your life who put you down and find friends who recognize how good you are. Also, if you have time to spare in your typical week, make plans to do things you really love instead of making excuses for why not. But seeking happiness isn't just about loving yourself. It's also about loving other individuals, loving society, seeing the good in everywhere you look, seeing the good in life. To love other people, start by looking for the good in everyone. Rather than judging people quickly, name-calling, putting people down to attempt to elevate yourself by comparison in your own mind, or analyzing people's motivations in a diminishing way, you'll be happier and fairer if you assume that everyone is actually trying his or her best. Truly, most people don't have exactly the same inner resources as you do. They may not be at the exact same point in their spiritual evolution as you are. So they may not be ready or able to do what you think you would do if you were in their place. Challenge yourself to understand more about each person you meet, with the goal of being fair-minded rather than cutting or self-serving in your assessment of others. When you're open to people's goodness, whether they express it or keep it hidden, it will make you a kinder, more loving person, and you'll actually like yourself more. That, in turn, will make it easier for other people to see more of the goodness in you, instead of seeing only the well-edited image that you present to the world. The University of California, Berkeley campus houses an organization called the Greater Good Science Center, a group that studies happiness, social bonding, compassion, and altruism using a scientific approach. According to their research, consciously practicing gratitude and meditation can profoundly affect a person's happiness over time. In my experience, I've found the regular daily practices of gratitude and meditation to be transformative in ways I don't really understand. But I don't really need to understand it. I just keep doing it and getting surprisingly good results. My approach isn't logical, it's phenomenological. The transformation I experience affects areas of my life such as my health, my ability to appreciate my challenges in life, my awareness of the mystical side of life, and my progress in becoming more authentic. There are many ways to meditate, and if you can't do an hour-long meditation, or sit cross-legged with your back straight, or sign up for the official Transcendental Meditation program, you can always search for a free guided meditation online. There are lots of them, where you're passively guided through the meditation process. You don't have to believe in it. All you need is to be open to the possibility of it. Another idea is to sit quietly for a few minutes at a time, one or more times a day. Close your eyes, breathe slowly and deeply without forcing it, and listen to the sound of your breath as you feel your lungs expand and contract. As far as gratitude is concerned, there's a common sense explanation for why it's central to being happy. That is, we humans tend to take good things in our lives for granted, and to continually scan the horizon to detect problems and threats, potential or immediate. Many of us have learned to be critics, looking for mistakes, especially in others. And we've also learned to be analysts, looking for labels to slap onto ourselves and others, having to do with individual flaws or pathologies. Further, anyone who watches the news each day will never run out of problems to worry about. All of this thinking may be important for staying informed, solving problems, and keeping ourselves safe. But the negative side effect is that we end up with a lot of stressful thoughts and feelings dominating our consciousness and often affecting us physically and emotionally at the end of the day. Grumbling about it does nothing to reverse the stress, whereas regularly practicing some form of appreciation and gratitude serves to counteract that accumulation of stress and negativity with positive thoughts and feelings, restoring us to a more balanced state of equilibrium. Some people practice gratitude and appreciation through saying grace at meals or praying at certain times of day, perhaps facing a certain direction. If you don't pray, you might spend a little time every day reflecting on what's good in your life. For example, every time you pass a homeless person on the street or think about refugees of wars, floods, or fires, you might quickly reflect on how much you love and appreciate the privacy, safety, security, and comfort of having your own home. A balanced outlook also allows people to develop a healthy sense of humor. Having a sense of humor that is kind and good-natured, not cutting, cynical, or sarcastic, may be a byproduct of a relatively happy and generous disposition. But it also generates more joyful moments that can help you counteract the negative energies for yourself and those laughing along with you. When I look around at people in my own family and community, there's one special group of people who are noticeably happier than the rest of us: young children. The reasons for this may be more complex than I know, but one thing most children share is hope for their futures. I believe that as they grow, children and teens who lose the hope of one of their foundational dreams coming true become deeply troubled. The loss of a foundational dream isn't just any old disappointment that children need to get over. Disappointment happens when you ask your mom for candy and she says no, or when your team loses in the playoffs. For children to lose hope of their dreams of love or success coming true is a major hit to their spirit from which they won't easily recover. As kids' hopes and dreams wither, whether the dream is parental love, romantic love, pure acceptance, a career goal, or something else, so do their enthusiasm, joy, optimism, and general love of life. I believe homicides and suicides among the youth, from random acts of mass violence to personal vendettas, are a logical outgrowth of the bitterness resulting from a killer's crushed foundational dreams. At that point, the killer just stops caring about everything. The solution, however, isn't to try to talk these people out of their bitterness or hatred, and it's certainly not to fight these emotions. That approach essentially makes the child or teen feel blamed for having their emotions, and it's futile anyway. It's futile because bitterness and hatred are part of human nature under certain circumstances. Rather, I believe the solution involves helping the embittered child or teen process his or her feelings of deep grief all the way to acceptance of the death of that dream, whether it's parental love, pure acceptance, or something else. And then realizing that there's a way to revive that dream, either in a different environment or someplace, somehow, where there's hope for achieving it. Their parents may never be capable of making them feel loved the way they need to feel loved, but there are other caring adults out there who can guide and help these children and teens feel loved in an appropriate way while helping them learn to love themselves and acquire new hopes. Their peers at school may not accept or understand them, but there may be peers in other schools or other environments who would, and there may be ways they can grow even at the moment so that their current peers will be better able to see more of their goodness. The key is to reinstill hope for their foundational dreams, either in a more suitable environment or through some growth process. I believe those precious childhood dreams lost lead people into Kubler-Ross's 5 stages of grief, which I've discussed in lessons number 3 and number 8. But without an understanding of the actual loss and the progressive stages to recovery, many kids get stuck. Some are stuck in denial. They often use drugs, alcohol, or escapist games or fantasies to pretend everything is fine and that they don't really hurt. Some are stuck in anger, and they become abusive to themselves or others, violent or criminal. Some get stuck in bargaining, such as stressing out, trying desperately to be good enough for a parent or love interest who is manipulating them and will never truly love and accept them for who they are. And some get stuck in depression, which they experience as a lack of motivation, deep sadness, a lack of caring about life, and dysfunction, often branded as either laziness or a medical condition, for which they're given addictive prescription drugs that try to shut off the pain, putting them back in stage 1 denial. This is frustrating to me. Many of these kids block out the painful memories of the childhood dream that, when lost, triggered their grief in the first place. And without the right kind of help, kids often don't have a clue as to how to dredge up the old dream or get through all the stages of grieving it, let alone how to be inspired to a new iteration of their dream. For that matter, neither do many adults. To help you trace your childhood dreams and see how they've affected your happiness, let me tell you about many of my foundational dreams. When I was 2 or 3 years old, I dreamed of being a wife and mother. After being handed a doll and told that I was a girl and could be a mommy someday. This was exciting, important news to me. And when I grew up, I eventually got my wish. Marriage and parenting have been challenging for me. But even today, I feel happy and fulfilled that I did it. I also dreamed of becoming beautiful like my mom. Although I struggled with that most of my life, I never completely gave up hope. And that hope has motivated me again and again, helping me grow in my attractiveness. By age 5, I had every intention of being a dancer when I grew up. However, after being attacked at age 6, I decided I'd better not do that. I reluctantly chose to be a musician instead. I never fully let go of the dream of being a dancer, and I dance in my room with the shades down almost every day, but only dancing in public places where I feel safe, like at weddings. Meanwhile, I majored in music in college, composed a piano piece that was eventually published, which was very satisfying for me, and I deeply enjoy playing music most days. Since I never dreamed of music as a career, I'm happy enough with that. At age 13, I was sitting out on the back porch one afternoon and suddenly got the intuition that I wanted to be a thinker when I grew up. I'm an extremely independent thinker, not afraid to disagree with others when I'm in an appropriate setting, and I've been writing down my ideas and sharing them selectively all my life. The happy news for me is that I still have hope of doing more thinking, and that keeps me happy and excited even today. But growing up, I also dreamed of being loved, first and foremost by my parents. That dream was gradually crushed throughout my childhood, so I had a tremendous amount of grief to process by the time I got to my late teens, and I needed therapy to process it all. I remember being in high school, sitting through a boring English class every day where I daydreamed of murdering my parents. I knew just how I wanted to kill each of them, although I also knew I'd never do it. I felt happy during those daydreams until my attention returned to the classroom. To offset my bitterness, I tried to nurture the faint hope of eventually finding love, becoming a wife and mother, and somehow becoming beautiful, even though I felt far from it. Those faint hopes basically kept me going from day to day until they faded so much that I considered suicide. Later, in therapy, I was gradually able to let go of my dreams of childhood love and put all my hopes into adult love. I believe childhood dreams are spiritual. They motivate us to live another day, and they should be not only encouraged but cultivated by parents, teachers, or other adults in order to reduce the stress and support the happiness of young people. I also suspect that this will help to reduce the number of youth-related killings in our society. To review, you can become more attractive in general by embracing growth throughout your life and by taking a multi-pronged approach to pursuing your own happiness. You can also become more attractive to potential or current partners by learning and practicing the most updated dating and relationship communication skills and deeper understandings, another critical point of growth for your ultimate success in true love. So, that's today's lesson. Please join me again next time when I'll talk about attraction from a different angle. In the meantime, if you want to dive deeper into today's lesson, I've listed some resources for you below. Good luck with it, and goodbye for now.